where unfortunately 65% of our community voted for it. They later understood they didn't know exactly what those things for which they're voting. But,
this is Medicaid?
you know, yeah, this is the Medicaid expansion. So she's claiming I didn't vote for it. In the end, we did over there, but it was the Democrats who voted against it because we tried to put sideboards on it. Not that you're following any of that, but we tried to put sideboards on it because we knew it was going to cost. It's more than doubled what they said it was going to cost.
Okay, let me get so you're telling me that there's a controversy. People are claiming that you did not vote for someone for a bill.
Well, it's more than that. When Medicaid expansion came up.
Yep.
Okay, and it's come up a few times long before I was here. As a conservative, Republicans were not for that. That's how you break the bank. Medicaid already had children, those disabled, the elderly, pregnant women. I mean, the swath was wide, and they wanted it, you know, for more. I understand. There with Obamacare, there was a gap of people that essentially it had missed. You know, it's just hard because then when you open Medicaid up, you're getting close to that single payer system that'll change everything. So we certainly fought it. And in 2019, it was an initiative that passed. And in Idaho Falls area, 65% of the people voted for Medicaid expansion. So when all was said and done last year at the legislative session, that was the big, overwhelming issue. Huge. So in the end, it passed. Republicans passed it, but we've had a hard time funding it.
Okay, so
and
first,
it's doubled. Yeah.
There was a controversy about whether you voted for it or against it. Is that right?
Well, now my opponent is saying that I didn't vote for Medicaid expansion, and that was in the paper, but I actually did vote for the bill that came forward and it passed this past year. Okay. But I wasn't for Medicaid expansion, but we supported the bill that came forward.
I see.
It had sideboards on it.
I see.
Yes, it did.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Now, tell me this much. So you voted for the bill. Tell me the arguments for Medicaid expansion and the arguments to not expand Medicaid. For and against. What are the arguments to expand Medicaid?
They wanted to encapsulate those, it's been a year, who fell in the gap. And there weren't many, but it was those who made, you could buy an affordable health care plan. I'd have to look at my notes, Brandon. You could actually afford to, at a fairly inexpensive rate, I mean, way less than the $1,800 a month. If you worked, I think we figured out, if you worked 35 hours a week at even $725, I'd have to go look, but it didn't take much to be able to get an affordable health care plan, but they wanted it free. So it's a little bit of a convoluted story because, of course, they have their narrative, which was wrong, and then you have the facts, which are hard to explain to the average ordinary person because they go based on the story. Oh, children are suffering. They're not getting, no, all kids are on Medicaid. If they don't, they're all on it. That wasn't even part of the story. Oh, we've got, the elder, they're all on it. Oh, the handicapped, they're all on it. But guess what? When we expand Medicaid, as what's happened in many of the other states, they stand to lose it. They started to limit who could actually, how much help those who used to be under Medicaid could then get, because now they had to cover all these new people who are on Medicaid that included the 30-year-old kid living in his parents' basement, not required. We tried to put on there a minimum 20 hours of work a week, as opposed to just getting free healthcare. And for people who are able-bodied, but the left didn't want to hear about that.
Wow.
I opposed, so under that narrative, I opposed healthcare for people. No, I didn't. But guess what, Brandon? I worked, and I talked about this on the floor last year. I worked 4 jobs 4 jobs, and I'm supposed to work 4 jobs so I can give health care to somebody who works no jobs and is capable.
Right.
That was the argument.
Okay, so the key issue. Hey, by the way,
Yeah.
I heard your phone beep and my phone beep at the exact same time. I got a push notification. Did you get a push notification
A
on
what?
your phone? I thought I heard your phone beep a few minutes ago. Did it?
I
I'm
don't
trying to see if
think
we
so.
got the same push notification.
I don't see anything on like on my text messages.
Yeah, it was. I got the verse of the day from the Holy Bible app, and it sounded
Oh.
like it came from my end and also from your end too. I don't. Maybe it was just a reverb, something like
Okay.
that.
No, that's good. I thought you were insinuating somebody was on here listening to us. I always get, hey, I'm so paranoid actually on some of these things because I know I know Big Brother's real, and then I thought you were saying somebody was, anyway, sorry.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's now only you and me are on, only participants.
All right.
All right. So so the key idea there was that it sounds like a nice idea to be able to cover more people in the gap of Obamacare. But doing so
Yep.
would have some big unforeseen consequences that would harm the whole Medicare system and other people, especially it would cause this liability and risk to the whole system by giving people who don't even really need it, who could work. That's the idea, right? Okay.
Yep.
Good. You got it. What else? Give me another high-level overview of the big issues facing your people.
There's the issues, Brandon, and then there's what my opponent's pushing. So I don't know if that could kind of be 2 different things. So she has the benefit of them.
As you know, the Leadership Institute. Ever heard of LI, the Leadership Institute, Morton Blackwell? It's in DC. I worked for them. One of the central conservative political training organizations. Ever heard of the Leesburg Grid? The Leesburg Grid.
Not sure if I have, Brandon.
This is something I learned from the Morton Blackwell, which was you have the ability to in the grid. You can be how you define yourself, you on you,
mm-hmm.
how you define your opponent, right? How you define yourself or how you define your opponent. Or it could be how your opponent defines themselves or how they define you. If a candidate can keep it in you on you or you on them, you'll win. So right now, Trump's best position is to not be about him, but for him to define his opponent, which is defining Biden as a lying, cheating person that's doing the bidding of Xi Jinping. He would not be good right now by him defining himself, because we already know who he is and people don't like him. And he'll win more people if people don't want Hillary, anybody but Hillary, anybody but Biden, he'll win more. So for you, you could apply the same strategy to you. Is when I hear you talk, I mentioned that because I heard you talking about what your opponent is saying about you. I don't want you to let your opponent define you. You can define you and you can define your opponent. Those are the key things. So I would say to you, you can play defense. And the way they taught me, they teach you to do it is, like, if you get an accusation, misconduct or whatever, you can do a couple things. You can ignore it. You can take it straight on. If you take it straight on, then you sit in a press conference for hours until every reporter to answer the question. They're all dead. They're all dead tired and they leave. You do 2 ways: ignore it or take it full on and answer the question. But then the key thing is, this is the secret that they teach, is as soon as you've rebutted it and shown evidence that it's not true, then once you've done that, once you've cleared your name, you have to then move to, when it's appropriate, to some sort of moral indignation. Like, I'm so morally offended that you could say that about me. I'm such a reputable character. How could you even think that about me? I'm so morally offended. Those are the stretches I learned. So, but
If only
anyways,
we had more media to cover that. But maybe that's my own self doing a little more Facebook Live or just recording something, which I
that's the
probably
secret
should have done.
is that you have to do that every day. You have to everywhere.
Oh, I haven't. Okay.
Yeah, just for your future. Okay, I'm gonna help you out. Future. Follow someone like Grant Cardone. Grant Cardone. What you want to do is you don't want to really create content. You want to document. You want to document things you do. That's because you want to be a reality TV star. And this is what an Instagram influencer is. You want to just like one of my mentors and someone I work with currently is named David Spady. Okay, he's working with Ryan Zinke right now. I'm working on the Montana campaign with him. He used to work with Salem Communications. He still does Salem Communications, Salem Radio, and he's so good with Instagram that like what's his name, Ryan, who's the former Speaker of the House, Ryan. What's his name?
Oh, right. Yeah. He not Ryan. His last name's Ryan. Paul.
No, Paul Ryan.
Ryan.
Thanks, Paul Ryan. Paul Ryan. He had talked to Paul Ryan at Capitol and said, "Oh yeah." Paul Ryan would say, "Oh yeah, I saw you were in town." So he saw his Instagram feed. So that's kind of how powerful that his Instagram thing is. What he does is he does photographs of him fly fishing or whatever he's done. He does all these awesome things, getting on a plane, getting his horse, riding his horse. So he does all these things that creates an idea, a persona. Okay. So that's the other thing I'm saying for you is you can document your day, document your life, what you do, taking care of your kids, taking care of this kind of stuff. That's what makes you be really accessible to people and people follow you. And then of course, what Grant Cardone does, he just, whenever he can, he thinks of something, he just flips on Instagram, pushes record and says something for a minute. So it's a cool idea, an inspiring idea or whatever. So whatever you come across, like you hear this, like for you, one of the most best things is whenever you talk to somebody that has a passionate story, I just talked to this person and listened to their story. It was so horrible. And then they did this and it was so wonderful and whatever it is. But that kind of stuff is what would make someone like you be phenomenal, is be able to do that. Because then you own your media, then you own your own press. And so then you develop a following of
like Trump.
Yeah, exactly. Because you could even very easily run an ad to all 100,000 people in Idaho Falls, or whatever. You could easily run an ad to them and target every single one of them easily for $100. For $200, you target all 100,000 of your people.
Well, you know what? I didn't know how I've actually got an appointment right now, and it's a couple kids that are coming to help get some signs out.
Good.
I don't know if there's another time I can grab you. I've had them waiting out here, and they've got their football part. They've got their football party that they need to go to. So
awesome. That's great. Yeah, do it. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, figuring out, how to run an ad. I don't know what I can do in 2 weeks, but I would sure like to try.
Yeah, sure.
If you think, I don't know if there might be a time tomorrow that I might buzz you.
I love it. Yeah, 100%.
Really?
Just buzz in the morning.
Text you. Well, I've got a funeral. I got a funeral I'm doing in the morning, so it'd have to be in the afternoon or
you
evening.
have to tell the story. You don't have to do it publicly yet, but on your phone, tell the story of the person. What an awesome person they were. Just practice. I'm just telling you, that's stuff golden. That's golden. All right. Yeah.
All right.
Text me tomorrow. All right.
Thank you so much, Brendan.
Hey.
Thank you.
Awesome. You're very welcome. I loved it. Appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.